Hi, everyone, and welcome into the Rochester Press Box. Glad to have you. I'm Bill Pucko, along with Tariq Spence. How you doing, man?
Enjoying summer, my friend. That's why I'm doing the bright shirt today.
Absolutely. And Pat Duffy, who's wearing a lot of colors today.
Well, no, I mean, it's the Atlanta Thrashers' third jersey, Big Buff, Dustin Byfuglien. The Seattle Kraken will be having their expansion draft soon. You know, the expansion team that didn't quite make it.
Have they got uniforms yet, the Kraken?
Yeah, have you seen them?
I have not.
The uniform, disappointing. The mascot, though, pretty cool looking.
The Kraken. What a name. Tariq, let's play, let's talk a little baseball. Baseball's coming off a pretty good week. The All-Star Game, Home Run Derby, everything went pretty well, I think.
I think so, too. I mean, listen, I'm a Mets fan. I was rooting for Pete Alonso, two-time Home Run Derby champion, so that's great. I like the whole circus that went along with the Home Run Derby. It was fun to watch. It was engaging. The fact that they're doing a very good job of starting to sell multiple players in baseball, which I thought was great, too. Fernando Tatis Jr. got a chance to meet Freddie Freeman's son, who is, I guess Freddie Freeman's son is a big fan. It was a great moment. It was other than Freddie Freeman, hopefully, the kid loves his own dad playing. But he got to meet him, and that moment all capsulized together. I like the fact that they got Shohei Ohtani in there. I think it was great. I'm watching the All-Star Game with my family. I'm trying to explain to my wife, this guy pitches and hits. She was like, who does that? And I'm like, Babe Ruth. That's about it. You know what I mean? This guy has 30 home runs and can pitch. I think he's 4-1 at the time. But it was just, I thought it was great, a showcase of all the talents they are. The uniforms, absolutely terrible.
I didn't know which way you were going to fall on that.
Absolutely the worst all-star uniforms I've seen in a very long time.
Well, you're the uniform expert. What do you think?
Yeah, let them play in their jerseys. That's what you're supposed to do in Major League Baseball, right? No, I didn't like it, especially the whole straight-up navy blue up and down. They look like players from the old American all-girls baseball league. Like, that's the first thing I thought was like a barnstorming softball league, right?
Let's look at Tariq in an unfinished business. Maybe a month ago or so, you did a piece on Ohtani.
Oh yeah.
And we don't get to see him all that much. He's playing on the West Coast. The Angels don't get a lot of national publicity. But the way they showcase this, I mean, and they really made me want to watch this stuff. I watched the Home Run Derby start to finish for the first time ever. And I did it willingly, not just because, I felt like it was an assignment. This guy is really something special.
Yeah, he is. I mean, look, what he was able to do on the diamond, like between both the Home Run Derby and the actual game, was pretty amazing. But he seems laid back, right? Like, you watch him play baseball, he's just having fun. He had a smile on his face the whole time. He's busting chops with the guys, despite the fact that there's that language barrier there. Like, I think, to your guys' point, Tariq, you said it, they focused on multiple stars during that game to grow the superstar factor. They did a fantastic job with Ohtani, with Freeman, with the interview they were doing on first base. It made him very relatable, talking about his kid Tatis, the inning afterwards where he's playing shortstop when Vlad goes deep, and he's speaking English and having fun with the guys, and Vlad runs by and he says something to him in Spanish and they high-five each other. Like, it was awesome. It was great. I'm not normally a fan of the All-Star Game. I'll watch it to hate it. I really enjoyed watching it this year.
Well, there was a great moment. I don't know if anybody remembers. I think it was Vlad Guerrero Jr. I can't remember who it was. Lined the ball right back at Max Scherzer. They hugged as he went back to the dugout. I thought it was hilarious. Everybody in the family who really doesn't watch a lot of baseball on TV, we like live baseball, I thought it was funny. Like, it was a great moment.
I don't know if you know this. That hug was actually Joe Girardi asking Vlad to shake him down and make sure he didn't get anything wrong. I don't know if it's true.
Hey, baseball's been criticized so much. The one thing you always heard is that it doesn't know how to market itself. It doesn't know how to market its stars. Somebody in the front office is hitting the right buttons these days, don't you think?
I think so. I mean, the other thing, too, what concerns me now, there's the talk going to this whole labor strike thing, and I don't know. That makes me a little bit nervous. I think you have to continue the momentum you have to sell the multiple stars, get them on different platforms, get them all over Dominican Republic, Japan. They're all over the country. They're all over the world, for crying out loud. And if you could find a way to institute the draft, I know they had the draft that was in and out. It was one of those small things, but I think there's a way to sort of blossom this game a little bit more.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. This is the Rochester Press Box. We're talking Buffalo Bills next.
Original Bay Goodman Pizza, located on the corner of North Winton at Browncroft. There are 3 ways to get the original Bay and Goodman delivery. Go to baygoodman.com.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Time to talk a little Buffalo Bills. This is like the dead zone. I like the last couple of weeks I found out, like, what are we going to talk about the Bills? Because really nothing's happening. So I got Pro Football Focus has got them ranked third in the NFL and with a 7% chance of winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean, despite the fact that I agree they're the third best team in the NFL, I also agree that 7% chance to make the Super Bowl is
win the
Super Bowl, is appropriate because, I mean, look, if you look at a team like the Buccaneers, who are favored in the NFC, I would assume at this point, right? I mean, they don't really have a tough road to sled to get there. You got question marks about the Rams. They could be possibly something. You got the Packers. Everything gets shaken down. This AFC is brutal, right? Like, you have Tennessee. You have Baltimore. I mean, people are writing off Pittsburgh, and that's fine. But don't forget, they were undefeated until, week 11 last season? And now Ben Roethlisberger, after 18 years in the league, is going on a diet. And then after all of that gauntlet, you have to get through Kansas City. And let's keep in mind, I mean, look, I don't think the Dolphins are going to be anything super special, but there's a potential for something to happen there. And then the specter of Bill Belichick exists over you at all times, right? Like, for as good as the Bills are, for as patient as they were, and the way that they work the roster, and as fantastic as Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott have been, there are a lot of teams that are getting good as the Bills are also good.
There seemed to be a lot of talent migrating to the AFC in the offseason, too. To his point, and he didn't mention the Browns and the Colts, which I think are really serious.
Which is really interesting because Baker Mayfield about 2 to 3 years ago had question marks and now seems to be right behind the Bills as far as the Browns are in that ranking. I saw them as fourth. But then there's just a lot of sort of question marks with quarterbacks after that. I mean, Rodgers, who knows what he's going to do? All the different things that are going on. So obviously Tampa Bay was number one and Kansas City was number 2.
Each listed about 15. They were given 15% chances to win. So there's a wide open race here.
You do that. I mean, you do have sort of a situation where Pat Mahomes is calling off an injury. Not quite sure how he's going to react to that.
He looked fine in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, well, I mean, not in the main game that gets you the ring. So I'm not quite sure how to handle that. But I am a little bit concerned with there's a lot of influx of different quarterbacks. You said the Rams before. You mentioned the fact that Matthew Stafford now part of that team. So there's just a lot of different factors that are behind the Bills that I don't know. I'm just not really threatened by the other teams who are 4 through 10. There's just a lot of uncertainty, especially at the quarterback position, where the Bills, I feel, are more sure-handed at the quarterback position.
I mean, the quarterback, absolutely. I mean, look, Ryan Tannehill's no slouch. He's proved that over the last couple of years. I mean, Lamar Jackson won an MVP. That's a dangerous football player. The Bills had a great game plan for him in that playoff game. But don't forget, the Bills needed a defensive touchdown to put that game away at the end, and they knocked Lamar Jackson out of the game before it was over. That could have gone very differently. The Ravens do scare me. The Titans also scare me. That receiving core is horrifying, especially what they did in the offseason. I think the Bills are better teams, but if we're talking a playoff game, winner take all, I mean, it's no guarantee.
You know, I thought about you guys when part of that article too was like they would paint what's the worst case scenario for each team that's in the contending, and I could hear Pat says, "Why would you even say that?
Why would you say that? Why would you do that? That was worst case scenario. Hey, what happens if everything in your life collapses?"
Well, so they said Josh Allen reverts back to form. It says and turns the ball over because they had this weird stat about potential turnovers that didn't become turnovers, and that the defensive line has problems with age.
Okay, fine, but it's funny. J.J. Watt was the guy that a lot of Bills fans wanted this offseason. Both Mario Addison and Jerry Hughes, who were the defensive ends that fans and experts wanted to write off, had better statistical seasons last season and the season before than J.J. Watt has had. And I hate that stat, that potential interception stat. Show me the stat for potential touchdown passes that the receiver would have broke for 20 yards had he caught the ball. Like, it's such a stupid idea. It didn't happen. It didn't happen.
So why are you worried about signing Josh Allen? Why don't you just sign him right now? You don't have to worry about it. No big deal. Are you down with that? Because
yes.
It seems to be they want to wait for another year for something to happen before they sign him.
Which I don't understand, because let's say he takes a step backward. His agent's still going to fight for that money he would have got this year. If he takes an even further step forward, look, he's going to be the highest paid player in the NFL for a little while. Pay him now, shore it up, get it done.
Yeah, but there's a salary cap issue too.
I mean, look, there's going to be a salary cap issue.
But we're talking about that window. We always talk about this window of opportunity that would disappear if they signed him now.
I don't think so. You do it the way that they did it with Mahomes, where the money kicks in a year or two from now. Just the guaranteed money is coming down the road. You give him the signing bonus. Look, they did something with Stephon Diggs' contract to clear up like $7-8 million earlier this season. You don't do that for no reason. I'm waiting to see what the other shoe is, whether it's Zach Ertz coming or they get the deal done with Allen and give him the guaranteed money up front.
We are the Rochester Press Box. Like it or not, is next. Here's the Press Box Trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
All of these things show Josh Allen has a strive for greatness inside of him.
Falcon Around with Carl Falk. New episodes every Tuesday on Rock Sports Now.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Are you facing criminal charges from a DWI and feel that you never imagined it could happen to you? Contact attorneys with years of experience as prosecutors and defenders. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today for a free consultation. You can put your trust in us.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back here to the Rochester Press Box, a segment of the Press Box, like it or not, brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law. Attorneys with years of experience defending the accused. Don't go unprepared. Contact Ganguly Law today. Tariq, like it or not, an ESPN announcer got himself into a bit of hot water this past week, suggesting that baseball has a problem if the face of the sport doesn't speak the language. And obviously a reference to Ohtani. Yeah. And we're coming off an all-star game that had Ohtani as the winning pitcher. We had an Australian got the save and a Dominican got the MVP.
Yeah.
Something's going on.
Which, by the way, the weirdest walk into a bar joke you've ever heard. I'm sorry, you were saying.
I'll just say this. The game is global. We made it global. And now that it is global, you have to accept the fact that the globe doesn't all speak English. There's a lot of different languages that go along with that. But the one thing I find is interesting about this, too, they ran into the same thing with Sammy Sosa, with a number of different players that are Latin, that don't speak the language very well. We've accepted them. I think this is interesting for me because I think the fact that you can play a sport, not speak the English, but we love the sport is what is dividing a lot of different people. So he doesn't speak English, or this person doesn't speak English, but do they play the game right? The game the way I like the way it's played. Do they hit singles? Are they out there with fun? Are they having fun? Is it engaging? Or are they just, sort of hired assassins and don't really care? So I think it's really the flavor. You mentioned Ohtani earlier. The fact that, he was out there, he seemed like he enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. He seemed like he wanted to be there. He was engaging.
These guys smile a lot. I'll give him that. They smile a lot.
I think that's the greeting that people are looking for. I think we may not like the fact that he doesn't speak English or he does speak English, but does he love the game? Because I love the game. And I think that's the common bond that's here.
But beneath the surface, where it appears as though, there's a racial issue of some kind, a cultural issue of some kind with a comment like that, someone, like we said, is pushing the right buttons in the Major League office. Isn't there's got to be a different way to approach it, is you can't market this game. And I had asked, it's like, can you embrace Ohtani the same way 2 generations earlier embraced Mickey Mantle?
Okay, but you name a guy who was embraced by every single person. Name a player short of Jeter in the last 30 years that was embraced that way in Major League Baseball. Because let's look at the stars you have that speak English right now. Mike Trout, don't say nothing. Mm-hmm. Bryce Harper, don't say nothing. When is the last time you had a guy, and even Jeter, right, for the media darling that he was, he didn't say nothing. Nobody talks. Like, you're assuming if Ohtani spoke really good English, and I can't even speak good English as I say good English, if he was able to have a conversation in English with the reporters, that he would be entertaining. What guarantee is that?
Can I throw in Trevor Bauer, who did speak a lot and isn't speaking recently? So, you have guys that do speak, and sometimes they say things or maybe do things that are kind of questionable and then involve investigation.
Look, the beautiful thing about sports is that it transcends language. You said it yourself last night. Ohtani is on the mound last night smiling and having fun, and he's in the batter's box, and he's giving looks, and he's high-fiving, and he plays the game the right way. That last out that Ohtani was able to get in the field, it's high-fives and fist pumps all the way around. He didn't have to speak to anybody coming off the field. There was that look. There was that smile. That's what I love the most about sports. You're seeing it in the NBA now. You've seen it in Major League Baseball for the last 25 years. In hockey, man, half the guys in the team barely speak English anymore. I don't see it as a bad thing.
Quickly, give me a, like it or not, penalty kicks deciding the European Soccer Championship.
Yeah, isn't that great? Let's play for 2 hours, and then all of a sudden, whoever made this just to hook it into a net. It's so dumb. It's the one sport that I'm aware of that hasn't changed anything about its rules in the last 150 years, yet nobody complains about it.
Can they just keep running to complete exhaustion? I hate the penalty kicks. I want them to keep running, rotate guys in, rotate guys out, get them water, get them. Somebody's got to score a goal. I cannot stand penalty
It's one of
kicks.
the biggest problems the sports worldwide has is how do you break a tie? Think about all the sports that we spend so much time. How do you break a tie? Like it or not, brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law. Unfinished Business is next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. McArdle's is open 7 days a week with dining available indoors and out, takeout and delivery. Come home to McArdle's.
And now to Eichel. He floated one. Score!
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. Time for Unfinished Business. Pat Duffy, start us off.
So I mentioned earlier that the expansion draft for the Seattle Kraken in the NHL, their newest expansion team, 32nd team, is coming up soon. And if you're a Buffalo Sabres fan, you don't really have anything to worry about. Because normally, every other franchise in the league is sitting here talking about who are we going to lose. We can't lose a young guy, a hot prospect. It could be devastating for our team down the line. You get to protect enough guys for the Sabres where if you lose whoever's unprotected, not really that big a deal. In fact, the general manager of the Sabres, Kevin Adams, talked Jeff Skinner, a man who just signed a $9 million AAV deal 2 years ago, into waiving his no-trade clause. So the Kraken, if they wanted to, could take him. They won't, because that contract's an albatross. But when you have a guy that you signed 2 years ago that was supposed to be the Robin to Jack Eichel's Batman, the kid that was going to push you over the top and make you a playoff contender perennially, say, sure, I'll waive to leave for a team that's never played a game before? How much worse can it get?
In the world of sports, we have shown the world, basketball and baseball specifically, the fact that these sports are amazing. And over the last 20 years or so, if not a little bit longer, they've showed us that they're better at it. Basically, what has happened with the U.S. Dream Team is the fact that that team has inspired so many generations of young players to build off of that. Hence why you have a Luka Doncic and a Giannis Antetokounmpo and all these other different people that have been able to come over from another country to play basketball. Baseball, same sort of situation. And Ichiro Suzuki leads up to a Shohei Ohtani, which leads to a Vladimir Guerrero, which leads to a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Fernando Tatis Jr. You see where I'm going with this? Players that were not born here coming into baseball and revolutionizing the sport. I love it, the fact that the world is getting better at sports that we've introduced them to. Now it's time for us to claim those sports back, U.S. men's basketball team.
Rochester doesn't have a lot to call its own in a sports sense. If you live here, chances are you're a fan of the Buffalo Bills and Syracuse basketball, and our either side of us. But we do take pride in our people. It's what we do best. Danielle Downey was a sports star at Spencerport High School, a 1,000-point scorer and all Greater Rochester in girls basketball. She also played on the boys golf team. Danielle won the state women's amateur golf title 3 straight years from 1999 to 2001. By then, she was on scholarship at Auburn University, where she won the Southeast Conference golf title in 2000, and 2 years later placed second in the NCAA championships. At the U.S. Amateur, Danielle scored a double eagle, an albatross, if you will, by carding a 2 on a 450-yard par 5 hole at Sleepy Hollow in Tarrytown. Think about that. Downey earned her LPGA Tour card in 2007 and in 2008 finished 4th at a pro event in Alabama. It was the best finish of her 5-year career. She returned to Auburn as a coach and athletic administrator, but was community-oriented and still returned home to Rochester often. Then on January 30th, 2014, Danielle was killed in a single-car crash. She was 33. Danielle Downey, along with Kathy Morse before her, were the 2 best female golfers that we had in my time here in Rochester. The 6th annual Danielle Downey Golf Classic was held at Brook Lee last week, the 12th stop on the Symetra Tour, the LPGA's developmental circuit. Brook Lee was Downey's home course. The tournament annually provides a $2,500 college scholarship to an aspiring local female golfer and matches that to the charity of that golfer's choice. This is a fitting way to remember her, because that's what we do best. That is Unfinished Business, and that is our program, gentlemen. Thank you very much, Tariq.
Enjoy the rest of the summer day, guys.
Pat?
I'm going to go home and sleep.
All right, we got activities planned. That's our show. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week with the Rochester Press Box.